she was somebody's daughter, somebody's wife.
I would like to welcome and thank our partner, Dr. Dirk Heyer, the Chief Coroner for the Province of Ontario, for making himself available for this very important announcement.
On May the 3rd, 1975, a local farmer was walking along the Nation River, not far from the Highway 417 bridge connecting Ottawa and Montreal. As he strolled by the water's edge, he found a dead body of a woman alongside the river. Little did he know that he was about to make a horrifying discovery that would send shockwaves through the community. Before we dive deeper into this true crime story, please subscribe to our channel and share your thoughts with us in the comments below. The farmer saw her body floating in the river and knew something was terribly wrong. He was clear that something bad had happened to her. Her wrists and ankles were tied up with 3 men's neckties. One of the ties was blue and grey, another was red and white, and the third was dark blue with the Canadian flag on it. The Canadian tie had a unique clue. It was made in Montreal and could be bought in stores in Quebec and Eastern Ontario. These ties used to bind her with the only real connections to her predator. There was someone out there, hidden in the shadows, who had committed this terrible act. This wasn't just a random act of violence. It was a meticulously planned crime that someone had thought about and carefully executed. Her head was covered with 2 green cloths and fringes, hiding her identity and the terrible things that had happened to her in her final moments. Underneath these cloths, there was a tea towel from Ireland with a traditional Irish saying on it. This seemingly harmless tea towel had been turned into a scary tool used to take her life. But the story of how she met her end didn't stop there. Another disturbing discovery awaited. A TV cable covered in plastic with grey paint splattered on it. This ordinary item had been transformed into a deadly weapon. All this evidence revealed the extent of harm the person meant to cause. But the question remained, who could have done this to her? With the evidence clearly in their hands, the investigators shifted their focus to the area around Nation River. They found traces of blood on the Highway 417 bridge, which told a horrifying story. This wasn't an accidental event, it was a deliberate act of murder. The blood was examined and the results left no room for doubt. It belonged to the woman herself. Her life had been taken away and her body was cruelly disposed of in the river. The mystery got even more puzzling as the detectives tried to figure out who she was. The Nation River lady was like an empty page, a woman with no known name. Even though she had distinctive features, her true identity continued to stay hidden and unknown. She was a Caucasian woman, and her age could be anywhere from 25 to 50 years old. Her body shape was quite ordinary, average build, and she stood somewhere between 5 foot 2 inches and 5 foot 6 inches tall. Her natural dark brown hair had been coloured to a strawberry blonde, a small attempt to change her appearance. Her toenails and fingernails were painted in a bright red or vibrant pink. Despite her physical alterations, one feature set her apart: her webbed toes, a rare characteristic that should have led to her identification. However, the mystery continued. Her dental work showed that she had been to the dentist a lot. She also had a clear gap between her 2 front teeth, and she used dentures for both her upper and lower jaws. These dentures could have been a clue, but where they came from was unknown. At first they were believed to be from another country, but further research showed they were probably made in Canada, a place often used in southern Ontario. This seemed like a lead, a trail of breadcrumbs that could have pointed the way to answers, but it stayed hidden in the shadows. People called her the Nation River Lady because she was a mystery without a solution, a question without an answer. With no leads and the complete silence of the public, her case went cold. As the years passed and turned into decades, the village of Castlemaine held on to this secret in its heart. In 1987, after a long wait of 13 years with so many unanswered questions, the Nation River lady was finally given a final resting place. Her grave in Toronto had the words "missing but not forgotten" written on it, showing the lasting hope that her true identity would someday be uncovered. Then, in the summer of 2017, a little ray of hope shone through the mystery of the Nation River lady. The police in Ontario decided to take another look at this cold case, hoping to finally figure out who she was. They used advanced technology to make a 3D model of her face out of clay. It was like a rope thrown to a drowning man, a way to show what she might have looked like and help solve the mystery that had been unsolved for too many years. This story was all about people being determined and working together to find the truth. The police and the community were joined in their effort to solve the mystery of the Nation River lady. With the clay model, they breathed new life into her case and asked the public for help. They wished someone would see the model and say, "I know her," which would be like finding the last piece to complete a tricky puzzle. But, unfortunately, the Nation River lady continued to remain a shadowy figure in the annals of unsolved cases. Even though they faced problems along the way, the investigators didn't give up. They had her fingerprints and DNA information in their records. Now, let's fast forward to the summer of 2023, which was almost 46 years after the Nation River lady's life was so tragically taken away. Something big happened, a major development that would really change things in this long-standing mystery and give us a small ray of hope in all the darkness. The breakthrough in her case was not a stroke of luck, but as a result of tireless effort and modern technology. They used DNA testing and genealogy to find out who she was. This discovery brought relief to a family that had always been searching for answers and closure. The Nation River lady was no longer a mystery. She had a name, Joelle Parchman Langford. Her identity was revealed, which broke down the barriers of not knowing who she was. She wasn't just a nameless victim. She was a woman with a name, a history, and a story to tell. Joelle Parchman Langford was a lady who ran her own business in Jackson, Tennessee. In April 1975, she set off on a trip to Montreal. While she was there, she stayed with a man named Rodney Nichols. He had told her family she'd keep in touch, but she never did, and she never came back home. Her family, especially her strong, determined mother, never lost hope. They kept looking for her, trying to find out what happened and fighting for justice. Joelle was an important part of her community, and her absence was really deeply missed. People loved her and remembered her. However, the story wasn't finished yet. There was another part to the mystery, a dark and troubling turn. Rodney Nichols, now 81, the man who stayed with Joelle, had a connection to Joelle's final moments. The Deputy Commissioner Martin Cairns said at a virtual news conference that Nichols was accused of killing her. He lived in Florida, and the authorities asked to bring him to Canada to face the charges. He was accused of the murder at the Ontario Court of Justice, but he hasn't said if he's guilty or not, and he hasn't shown up in court yet. In the end, her empty grave in Tennessee, marked with "missing but not forgotten," was replaced with a new inscription, "Finally home and at peace." Check out more similar videos on screen. Take care.